well, we rewind some of our favorite comfort shows, our favorite movies. We reflect on some of these characters and their situations and try to find the moments of ourselves that feels like it's being mirrored back and learn from that without always having to, you know, live it out in our real lives. And if the shows tend to nudge us to want to get some professional help, then so be it. Then so be it. So, yeah, grab your blanket, get comfortable, and let's reflect and rewind. Hi, my name is Stephanie John, and this is Reflect and Rewind, episode 5. No, episode 6. We're getting there, people. We're getting there. Okay, so for this episode, we start off with the nitty gritty, a good opening scene with Andre and Mary Jane, of course, over here flirting and looking at apartments already. It only been 2 seconds of an episode where he said he was going to divorce his wife and he done ready looking to move out. But so be it. So now they're walking around looking at this apartment, trying to have a little sexy moment or whatever. Come to find out the apartment is not going to be ready in time. And in this, there's something about Andre that's just like, he just cannot help himself. So he's like, okay, the apartment is being stalled. It's not going to be done in time. He told his wife he has to be out by a certain amount of time. Why he gave himself that limit is beyond me. And basically it's just like, oh, I guess I have to live at a hotel now. Just like, and Mary Jane eating it up goes on and says, oh, you can live with me. And it's just like, come on, you two, come on. Right? Like, first of all, it seems like Andre makes enough money. He should be able to be out on his own. He also is the one who decided to leave his wife the way that he decided to leave his wife. Why should anyone have to necessarily pick up the burden to keep a couple of extra dollars in his pocket? I'm pretty sure he could find a reasonably priced hotel if he wanted to leave his wife and tough this out until his situation was done. But nope, Mary Jane says, you can live with me. He's like, are you sure? She says yes. And I don't think they fully understand what they're signing themselves up for. Moving in with someone, it needs to be a discussion. It is a transition. Expectations need to be discussed. There's certain conversations they have never had that moving in with each other is going to like unearth in a big way. And that's any couple, right? Outside of this TV screen. If you decide to move in or start to have certain type of life-changing things with someone else, you should have a conversation around expectations at minimum. And try to make sure you have a full understanding as to what the expectations are and what the compromises that can be made in the midst of it all. And be willing to be flexible moving forward. But I digress. Okay, so we quickly pan over from the scene there into them actually living together. Her moving stuff out the drawer, him coming over, her getting wine. And this scene is a little hard to watch because with a critical eye at least. Because I feel like this is almost maybe a recipe for disaster. To say the least, just due to the lack of conversation that they're having in this major step to move in together, right? And the thing is, this moment, at least visually, represents like the fantasy that they have, and we're just waiting for this whole thing to blow up, like to highlight this fantasy. And I don't know if Mary Jane realized like this is not real. This is not a real scenario. You know, this idea of like playing house. I don't want to say shacking up, because that kind of means something different. But playing house, this is not real. This still is a married man. Yeah, he said he's going to divorce his wife, but as he filed for the papers, like, I don't know. It feels icky. It feels icky. So we'll see. We'll see how this goes. We'll blow up later, but it feels icky. So in the next scene, we see the mom and the dad, Mary Jane's mom and dad, and they're talking. It looks like mommy's feeling pretty good nowadays. She dressed up, her hair done, all of the things, but she is disgruntled. she's a little annoyed with dad that they don't have the table that they usually have at said gala or said event, and she kind of orders dad to get the table that they usually get. And I think this re-highlights, echoes back to that Huxtable reference a couple of episodes back as to who they are in the community and the importance it is for mom for them to obtain this look. So even when I think about that part, one of some of the pressures for them to be perfect is also the pressure that she's actually also putting on this family internally. So that's just this little thing that we could just put a pin in it, right? A pin in it in the case of that, right? So dad goes out, he sees that lady from the restaurant that we saw also a couple of sessions back, that we saw a couple of episodes back, and negotiates with her like, hey, I could pay more, or whatever the case may be. I think this also highlights how dad is a good man. At least he seems like it. He feel like it, right? Like every time they pan to him, he's always doing above and beyond for this family. He's like the protector, the provider, and all of the things. So he hunts down this lady. She's like, yeah, the money is nice, but that's not what I really want. Okay. And he's just like, okay. And then we fast forward just to kind of wrap up that story. She wanted a dance from this man.
Catherine, would you like to dance?
Yes, I would love to. What do you think you're doing?
You wanted a platinum table, didn't you?
In front of his wife. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. A little inappropriate. And mom kept it together. And she, at this event, walks up to her and was just like, okay, let me get back with my husband. But Mary Jane does see that moment and was like, Dad, Mom, why did you pimp out Daddy? Like, why did you push so hard for us to uphold this thing? In order, and then put him in a compromising situation. Why? So I don't know. It's just very interesting to see now that her mom as well, what roles she plays and what types of strings she is able to pull, and what does that relationship look like between her and dad, right? Like we still haven't seen a romantic connection between them, but it is a loving connection between them, if that makes sense. But the lust part or the sexual part doesn't seem completely there. So that's interesting. It's an interesting point. Just something to consider. So we fast forward to about to prepare for the gala, right? She asks Andre if he can come, and he essentially says no, right? He's like, no, I can't come. He's like, okay, but you're divorcing your wife. We're basically living with each other. And he's like, no, I just don't want to embarrass her, and a lot of people at this gala will know me. They would know I'm married and all the things, and I just don't want to do that to her. And to me, it was an interesting point of him, what could feel like to her, him choosing his wife or him protecting his wife over protecting Mary Jane. Right? Like this idea of, once again, Andre having to make a choice, and he's struggling in making said choice, in him leaving his wife and picking Mary Jane. But then now when it comes down to it, he's supposed to be, right, like picking Mary Jane moving forward, since he said he was going to divorce her, and he's not at this point, which now puts Mary Jane in an interesting position. So then she goes to the gala, and her ex is there, David. And in David being there, the mom makes a point how they miss him being around, and they're still hopeful that these two will figure it out and end up back together. Her friend also echoes the fact that I think you and David are it. Like, you guys are the love story. And the interesting part is, too, in watching this episode, I had to think to myself, well, does Andre even know about David? Because she did take his sperm. Like, that did happen. And we now move this man into our house. And that part of our life never really got addressed, even though they were overlapping, you know, which highlights some dishonesty that's happening on both of their sides. Like there's a lot of stuff that's unsaid, I could imagine, between these two. The two being Andre and Mary Jane. So her and David end up having this dance. They end up having this nice slow down moment. And I think you can see a part of Mary Jane that's also hoping that this is I get the sense that she feels or has felt that this was going to be her forever after, that at some point in time they would just get it together and they'll come back to each other and they'll find each other, like each other's was each other's like long game. And it's interesting too, because when she was talking to Lisa, Lisa did say,
I'm gonna say it. You were wrong. David was right not to trust you.
something that occurred between these two that we fully haven't gotten the information of, that seems like it never actually got fully addressed amongst them. So we don't really know exactly what that is, but it does seem like Lisa's just like, you were wrong, Mary Jane, like go get your man, essentially. So they have this small moment, they're dancing, and in the midst of the dance, they look like they were about to kiss, then he pulls away, and then he tells her that he's in a serious relationship with a woman. Mary Jane quickly leaves this place, goes home to Andre, and is crying over this man. Crying over David while being with this man. This man, now Andre comes into the situation and he's like, I'm so sorry I couldn't make it. Next year we'll be there together. She sits on the side of the tub and she's just weeping. And then my question is, what are the tears? Right? Like, I don't want to assume. Right? Like, I don't want to assume if I was her therapist what the tears are, but in my mind, this is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking part of the tears is the fact that her happily ever after may be closing down on her in the case of her and David. Like, that was supposed to be the thing that worked after everything was said and done. She goes home to a married man and he wasn't able to come. So it's like this double echoing of maybe not feeling good enough, or the fact of the lack of being chosen, because David's choosing this other woman to go ahead in life with, and Andre tonight also chose this other woman to dictate where he was and was not going to be over her. And then essentially she's alone, right? So what does that look like for her in the case of the long run? I can imagine a sense of loneliness, a sense of shame, a sense of forgotten, a sense of confusion, even possibly coming up. And it's interesting to me that in some capacity, Andre also like consoled her, which is kind of interesting because he consoled her thinking he's consoling her for his sake. And he may be consoling her for a hurt that another man has done to her that he's unaware of. So this love triangle is very interesting, and I hope you guys was able to keep up with me. It's just very interesting how that kind of like broke itself down in that capacity. And I don't know where this takes Mary Jane. And I think it goes back to the same question that we said in the past. It's just like, what does she really want? You know, like, what does she really want? Is she really being honest? Is Andre really being honest as to what's going on with him and his wife? There's so much things that haven't been said between these two. Like, it just seems like disaster is around the corner. A tough conversations around the corner for all three of these people. And then we have this scene with Mary Jane at work. And at work, she has this friend, what's his name? I was going to say Ludacris, but no. With Terrence Mitchell. And it seems like he is very, like, a black activist, that he's written a book, and that not every details in this memoir, in this book, was completely accurate. And Mary Jane felt like she was between a rock and a hard place, if we're going to be honest, right? Like, we already got the message that SNC was not was closing down jobs, jobs were on the line, people were getting fired, all kinds of stuff. And Kara brought up to her, like, listen, we can do the story. You can allow him to have his own platform and say his truth until they found the proof, the smoking gun, that he actually did do the things that he's accused of. She brings up to him that he did do the things, and Mary Jane felt like it was her journalistic obligation to tell the truth. So she tells the truth, essentially kind of ruins her friend's career, quickly feels sick about it, literally, and was judged about it moving forward in this episode, right? There was moments where you see mom's input and the brother's input and Rando's input about how she handled the situation. Some people feel like he's a part of the community. Other communities get a chance to slander and not be ethical in their ways. How come this couldn't just be one of those other things that we just let go underneath the radar? Like, why does black excellence have to look a particular way, like super clean cut and stuff like that, if everyone else cheats the system? And then for other people, the thought process, well, Patrick said as much as, well, another one bites the dust, right? Business as usual, very cutthroat, like as if Mary Jane has a very cutthroat, no nonsense kind of, feel. And it's interesting because mom echoed that. Well, he lied, and that's it, and that's all. But it was interesting to see the dad not respond. It feels like the dad may have had a different view on how that should have went. And in him having a different view on that, how that should have went, makes me wonder how many things in their relationship or in the family dad may have thought otherwise and didn't speak up. I could be overlooking, like looking too much into it, but it did make me question that. So, and then the other side to this is like, should she have been a better friend? Right? Like, should have Mary Jane lean into her journalistic obligations in order to keep her job or to do the job, or should she just stick to her friendships and just say that she just wasn't willing to do it, wasn't willing to put him out there like that, or at least give him the opportunity to tell his truth still? I don't know the answer to the question, but it does make me think about who Mary Jane's loyalty is to and what is her stance around friendships, because this is probably like the second time, maybe even the third time, where who Mary Jane is in her friendships have been up for question, right? Between Mark's outing, being mad at Kara for taking on a different job opportunity, and now with Terrence Mitchell not choosing to publicize his unethical writings and or choosing to not at least give him say to at least fight for it, even though, I don't know, like, did she have to be the one to say it, right? And I don't know. I don't know the answer to the question, but I do think who Mary Jane is as a friend does seem like something that we may have to investigate a little bit, right? Like, who does she see herself as a friend? Does she think, what is a good friend? And all those types of things. But yeah, we'll see, I guess. In the next episode, we'll see in the next episode exactly how that particular storyline works itself out. And then we see a quick moment between PJ and Dad, the youngest brother, have a conversation. They end up having the same name, so Dad ends up getting his information. Remember in the last episode, we find out that he does sell weed to other people, established people in the community. That he sells it to established people in the community. Dad kind of pulls him aside and basically was just like, what the hell's going on? He says that he took out a loan, and we know that's not true. But he says he takes out a loan. Dad's like, don't take out the loan. Ask me for help. Pay that thing back. And then, like, just get it done. Be a man. Do the thing. So it feels like Dad is starting to be a little bit on his wits' end with the boys. or maybe with the family. Last episode was about Patrick and his drug addiction and him having overlaps, and in this episode we see him confront PJ around like being responsible, essentially, and doing the right thing for the family. So we'll see exactly where this story goes. I feel like we haven't seen him in the show much at all. Just due to, but it seems like they're trying to do something with him. You know, like he wasn't there much, but it seems like something is brewing in his storyline. So we'll see. Well, that's it for Reflect and Rewind for today. I'm curious to know where this family goes moving forward. We have 3 episodes left in this show to see what's going on with this family. I want us to have for this. I feel like the biggest question I have is around the trio. David, Andre, and Mary Jane. Right? Do we think Mary Jane was hoping that David was going to be her forever person in the long run? Do we think Andre should have went to this luncheon, right, to show Mary Jane that he was willing to move forward in his life and be there with her? Or do we think that he made the right choice in the case of staying home and allowing Mary Jane to go on her own? Do we think Andre should even moved in, and him moving in is what's giving the mixed signals around what Mary Jane thinks their progression is starting to look like? Leave the comments down below. Let me know, what do you think about them? What do you think is going on? And if you have any predictions, if you haven't seen the show, so put that down. And this is Reflect and Rewind. Have a good day. Peace.